Lao Tzu puts it in this way: the great Tao flows everywhere, both to the left and to the right. It loves and nourishes all things, but does not lord it over them. And when merits are accomplished, it lays no claim to them. The more, therefore, you relinquish power, trust others, the more powerful you become, but in such a way that instead of having to lie awake nights controlling everything, you do it beautifully by trusting the job to everyone else. And they carry it on for you. This seems a sort of paradox to say this, but the principle of unity, of coming to a sense of oneness with the whole of the rest of the universe, is not to try to obtain power over the rest of the universe. That will only disturb it and antagonize it and make it seem less one with you than ever. The way to become one with the universe is to trust it as another, as you would another, and say, let's see what you're going to do. But in doing that, you see, in saying that to everything else that you have been taught to think is not you, you are also saying it to yourself. Because finally, as I pointed out, you do not know where your decisions come from. They pop up like hiccups. And when you make a decision, people have a great deal of anxiety about making decisions. So when we decide, we're always worrying, did I think this over long enough? Did I take enough data into consideration? And if you think it through, you find you never could take enough data into consideration. The data for a decision in any given situation is infinite. So what you do is, you go through the motions of thinking out what you will do about this. And then when the time comes to act, you make a snap judgment. I mean, I'm speaking a little extremely, making some fun of it and so on, because after all, we do occasionally get the vague outlines of things and make a right decision on rational grounds. But we fortunately forget the variables that could have interfered with this coming out right. It's amazing how often it works. But warriors are people who think of all the variables beyond their control and what might happen. So then when you make a decision, and it works out all right, I think very little of it has much to do with your conscious intent and control. The more you let go of it and trust it, as if it were quite other than you, the more you realize the inseparable identity of self and other. If you ever saw, for example, the film Kon-Tiki, this man figured out a few things as to how to make a balsa wood raft to sail from South America to the Pacific Islands. But once he had set this in motion, he discovered that all sorts of unexpected factors cooperated with him. That when the wood got wet, it expanded so that the ties bit into it and held it completely secure. He'd never expected that. And he found that as he sailed along, a flying fish would simply alight flat on the deck every morning for breakfast. That all kinds of natural factors, it was just, he'd touched a key where he was flowing with the course of nature, and everything cooperated with him. because he had touched the key. He'd made the act of faith.
Welcome to the Motivation Conversation. This is Motivational Monday, episode 4, my friends. We're going to call this Faith and True Leadership. Welcome to episode 4. I'll see you in 1 second. Let's get you motivated.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of the Motivation Conversation. Thanks for being here once again. I'm trying new angles, and as you see, I'm in the red chair today with the black background because I'm going to be recording after this The Matrix, You Are Neo. That's going to be dropping tomorrow, which I'm actually re-recording after doing it multiple times because I had some ideas on how to incorporate more of the Matrix in the scenery while we go over. But anyway, let's get in today's episode, which is about true leadership and faith in true leadership. And it's just some things I want to go over with you guys. I don't really plan out any episodes too in particular. I just have some ideas jotted down, and I go with what I feel and go with the flow of the show. This one, however, is not going to be that long because I got a lot of episodes to record, and I'm preparing for some guests episodes I'm going to have with some guests. So I want to save the juicy stuff for all that. There's plenty of stuff I could be going over, but I'm kind of going to bring it down a little bit just because there's a lot of good stuff coming this week for you guys to look forward to and enjoy. I have some new people to shout out right there. We got Melinda's Tears of Joy. Check out her awesome custom cakes. We have the new and improved Fella Good podcast. Links in the description to everybody as always. We got more wonderful candles and scents from RERE'S Wax and Melts. That shit is amazing. I will be going this week. I meant to do it last week, but I got caught up in some stuff. This weekend, we're going to go onto Facebook and IG and Twitch and Twitter and every social media platform we can find and support people and what they're doing and help get the word out there, whether it's a share, a purchase, an order, a shout out, whatever have you. We're just going to support the world, man, in many ways, so make sure you tune in for that. That's going to be a live show. Anyway, sorry to get distracted. I just wanted to give you guys a catch up with you guys. We don't get to talk too often, but this week we're going to have a lot of motivation conversation for you guys to get involved with. Let's jump into this episode, however. And I just wanted to talk to you guys about a few things. First off, is true leadership. What it is to have true leadership and be a true leader, and the understanding of the concept of true leadership. There's a few things I want to go over. One is going to be building your surroundings, right? How do you build up your surroundings as a leader? How do you influence the people around you, properly motivate them, help them grow, learn, understand, be tranquil, wiser, give them your experience so they can hone in on the world around them and better adapt. We're going to talk about creating the perfect time, because there is no such thing as a perfect time. And actually at the end of this episode, I'm going to play that because it's one of my very favorite motivational pieces with Eric Thomas. Link in the description. And also it's going to play at the end of this video, so enjoy that. If you need some extra motivation, there'll always be at the end of every motivation conversation episode some extra motivation for you, whether it be a few minutes or a long period of time, just in case you need it. So enjoy that. We're also going to be talking about understanding that leadership is not about power. Leadership is not about power. Yes, power comes with leadership, but that's not what it's about. And we'll get into that real soon. We're going to talk about building, knowing is greater than self. And actually, I'm not going to talk that much about it because I talk a lot about true leadership in the Matrix. You are Neo, that you're going to be watching tomorrow anyway. So, and then we're going to talk about leading from the back. Understand that that's true leadership, is leading from the back. And I'll get into the depth of that meaning and help you understand that. And then finally, in true leadership, staying humble. Pretty self-explanatory, but we're going to talk about ways to stay humble and grow for your people and for yourself. You know what I mean? So let's hop right into it. Hey, we're here, right? Let's talk. As you see, boom, screen right above my head for you. Right on time with a nice motivational sequence. So in case your eyes veer off, hopefully it's up here where you can learn something, my friends. We got your back. And remember, if you want to be up here, just type it in the comments. Let me know. Put the link in there. I'll go search it. Even if the link don't stick, I'll go search it and see what you got going on. Because whatever year it is, get it. Let's go. All right, let's start off with building for your surroundings. Or is that a good place to start? I personally think that true leadership obviously starts with yourself. As in our last episode of Motivation Conversation, you come first. And that's why I say you come first, because a lot of things start with you, right? A lot of things begin with how you do it and how you approach it and your understanding. And then you can take that and manifest it into the world and hopefully make the world a better place and teach people some good stuff about some great things. So I think a true leader must first understand that when they wake up in the morning, they should look in the mirror. Always look in the mirror first and understand you. Understand your flaws and your character traits and your excellence as well. And be humble with your excellence and know that you're a person too. So don't be so quick to ride your high horse, so to speak. I think that's how a true leader should definitely start their day. Whether you literally look in the mirror or metaphorically look in the mirror, and just understand that you're a person just like everybody else. You want to inspire or help build a greater understanding or grow or empower or whatever have you that you're trying to put out into the world, those positive vibes. Do it humbly and realize you're a person too. I tell you guys all the time on here, I'm just another person sharing my thoughts for the world. I don't think I'm better than anybody else. And in fact, when I do the episode me that I'm really running from, when I do the episode me, you'll see in fact that I am very human and a lot like you, more than you'll ever know. But I think for true leadership, that's a good place to start. And understanding that it's not about power. I think when you look in the mirror, you got to understand a lot of things. And when I say it's not about power, to be a leader, you don't want to do it. A leader isn't necessarily from a standpoint of authority. Now, here's the thing, right? As a leader, you naturally get the power. You naturally have the following. You're naturally influential because that's the position you're put in as a leader, right? When people see you as a leader, these are things you naturally have. So there's no point to dangle it over their head, so to speak. And, not expose, but, overuse and abuse your power. These are things that you don't want to do. Stay humble in doing so and understanding that you've been trusted with this responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So be humble about it. And everybody knows that's why you're appointed as the leader. That's why you're looked at as the leader, right? So when you recognize it and people recognize it, there's no point to boast that you're a leader or carry yourself as in you're above everybody and that you're on a higher plateau of understanding in life than everybody else is, because you're human too and you have flaws as well. That's why you need to start off your day looking in the mirror before you go out and motivate people and be that leader in whichever role you play as a leadership role, right? And I want everybody to understand also that we're all leaders in our own way. Here's the thing, man. We all follow. There's no leader. There's no leader out here that hasn't had to follow first in order to find their place as a leader. So be humble and understand that you are a leader. Don't say that you're not a leader, you're not capable of being one. You are, but first you have to find your place and understand your role as a leader. And once you can do that, then you'll be able to move accordingly with a little bit better of understanding in how to properly motivate and how to stay humble and understanding that it's not about power, right? Think about how many people have motivated you in your life that didn't even act like they were in a position of power. They're just playing their role in life, Think about teachers that motivated you or speakers or, the OGs, so we say, that's motivated you. And they're in a position of power just naturally because you entrust them with that position. And they never speak on it or never flex, so to speak, that status that you give them. And that's how you understand that being a leader is not about the power that you have. It's about the power that you can give to other people to help make them stronger and wiser and feel more viable and worthy in their own right, in their own life, right? And so sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. I was interrupted, and you know what? I'm going to tell you guys something else from personal experience. You know that you're on the right path when you're constantly tested. Since I started the motivation conversation, right? And it's funny because people have heard it even in episode 1. Even in episode 1, in the background, if you listen real carefully, you can hear a train going by while I'm recording. And since I started the motivation conversation, every time I want to record episodes, every time I want to step forth and motivate and empower the world, something in the universe tries to test me to see if I'm serious by trying to find ways to discourage me and make me lose my motivation. And I really think that's how you know you're on the right path and you found something that is worth investing your time in. When the things that are stopping you from achieving your goals are not you yourself, and it's the things around you. You see what I'm saying? Because it's not really the things around you that's trying to stop you, but trying to test you and see your seriousness. So if you could get through those hurdles and hiccups, and I'm telling you, friends, it's been a lot. I mean, I've had audio issues, video issues, download issues, processing issues, recording issues, quality issues, sound issues, background sound issues, everything. Right? People calling me, people texting me, people trying to mess up my zone and mess with my mood and get me aggy, so I can't properly do what I know that I should be doing, and that's this. And then the universe gets right to work and testing you. Are you sure this is what you should be doing? You know, and then, you know, every time you reach for something great and you're reaching for that greatness, you get tested even more. And then when you realize that you're tested, you get tested even more. Right? So as a leader, understand it is all momentary. It is all just in that moment. It is all just in that second. It is all just in that instance to see the seriousness of your abilities. Because if you're not ready for it, you're not going to be able to make it through these situations. I'm not saying that you're not ever going to be able to make it through these tests. I'm saying that if you're not ready, you're never going to be able to make it through the tests. And the tests are to make sure you're ready for those blessings. You know, it's crazy because, I know we're getting off the subject of true leadership a little bit, but it's crazy because, you know, I've noticed that in life from my personal experience that tests aren't to block you from your blessings, it's to see if you're going to block yourself. See if you're going to block yourself from your blessings. We're constantly tested in our life all the time, every day, to see if we're ready for our blessings that we're supposed to receive. And if we're not, then we failed. That's because we failed the test and we're not being right by ourselves in the universe. But anyway, that was just my... In resetting the video, I had been tested because it's always something, you know. But, and then, so I want to go back to true leadership anyway and creating the perfect time. Let's talk about that. What I want people to understand is that, you know, as I always show, like I said at the end of the thing, there's no such thing as the perfect time. You have to create it. You have to want it. You have to make it happen. Because if you sit there and you just wait for the perfect time, it's so easy to make an excuse. It's so easy to make an excuse to not have the perfect. To not have the perfect time. It's so easy to find a cop out. It's so easy to find a way to want to delay what you want to do, delay your dreams, delay your goals, delay your ambitions, delay your abilities. How about that? Think about how many people have these great, awesome abilities that are scared to press forward for no reason at all. Only because of their own sense of fear. But for why? For what? I say for why on purpose. Because you have to understand your why. You know what I'm saying? And whatever your it is, you got to go get it. And only thing that's ever stopping you is you. And that also plays a big role in being a leader, when you understand that, because you can use that to motivate people and let them, you know, and push them through those situations, you know, trials and tribulations they may be facing. When you can understand that your trials and tribulations it's just a test, you know, it's just a test, you know. And so you can help people understand, you know, that concept in itself, because a lot of people don't. It's really hard to, especially when it happens so much, right? Because, you know, the saying goes, it's always something, right? The saying isn't, it's sometimes something, it's every once in a while something, every blue moon it's something, right? That wouldn't be a problem if that were the case. The saying goes, it's always something. So when it's always something, we tend to lose sight of the fact that that's exactly what it is. It's just the fact that it's always something. It's not our fault. It's just a test to keep us going and honest, you know. And I think that's what all that helps with understanding leading from behind, right? Leading from the back, because that's basically leading by example. That's all it means, right? You know, in a work environment, you know, no boss should be okay with telling their employees to do something that they wouldn't do themselves. You see what I'm saying? And there you go. There's leadership and understanding that it's not about power. You still have the power, you still have the authority, and you're the leader, you're the boss. But it's not about flexing that power, right? It's about respect and understanding for another person and helping them grow. You're the boss because you have the knowledge, you have the know-how, you have the understanding. So why not pass that down to make them greater instead of using it as a way to keep them oppressed, you know what I'm saying, or beneath you. You know why? You know, before I started my own companies, that was always my issue. I felt like in the workplace, you know, bosses and managers and, you know, the higher ups in corporate structures and stuff of that sort always wanted you to be good at working for them. They always want you to be good. You see what I'm saying? They always want you to be good at working for them. They always want you to be good at doing the job that they hired you to do. They never wanted you to grow. You know, back when I worked, you know, regular job and, you know, went out for interviews and stuff like that, you know, I would have problems with a lot of interviews because when I was in a transition of wanting to do my own thing and I understood that I just needed time, and my plan was to, you know, save up some money for a couple of years, work for the man for a couple of years and set myself up, right? But as I tell, you know, these managers, like, yeah, you know, I'm just looking for a job for a couple of years, I have these goals, I want to be this, and they get upset. Why is that? How come you don't want me to grow? You want me to work at this fucking, you know, fast food joint for the rest of my life? You want me to come work for you for the next 10 years, huh? So you mad that I have ambitions and I want to be great. You see? And you're constantly tested. People always want you to settle. You know, and then so I think leading from behind is really important because as a leader, you want people to grow beyond, right? Build knowing it's greater than self. Build knowing that it's greater than self. So when you create something, when you develop a following, when you have people that look up to you and consider you as a leader, as a superior, as the, you know, person they follow and they take direction from, as you build your team, as you build your crew, as you build your group, your core, your circle, you know, whatever you want to call it, you know, as you build that foundation of people around you that you lead, understand that you're building knowing that it someday must be greater than you. That's the only way that situation is going to be successful, because it becomes about your legacy. Even when you've retired, you have now given skills and abilities, right? You have given confidence to the people around you that once you're done and sitting back and living your life, enjoying your life and, you know, whatever have you, while they're out in the world still growing or, you know, figuring out their life and their potential and their situation because you have let them. Now, instead of when you're gone, they're like, oh shit, what I'm going to do? They now have the ability to become leaders themselves. Because you have built these proteges, so to speak. And that's a true leader. That's the best way that a leader can be. It's to lead by example, to stay humble about it, to understand it's not about the power, because that's natural. That's a natural inclination in you being the leader. And use that power to build your surroundings, make them stronger, push them to try to be smarter than you, better than you. Don't keep them underneath you. Why hold somebody's potential hostage? That's not a true leader. I don't know what that's called, and I'm not here to determine what that type of person is called. I'm just here to tell you how to lead and how to properly do it, and what type of expectations you should set for yourself from people around you. always set people to a higher standard and let them know you set them to a higher standard, because that's a sign of respect. I respect you enough to know that you're better than this. I'm not saying that you're not a good person, but I see something in you. I know you're better than this. Otherwise, why are you here? I always tell people, and I always remind myself, if you're not going to do something to the best of your abilities, then why do it? If you're going to do it to the best of your abilities. And no one can place a standard on that. My best isn't your best. Your best isn't my best. But as long as you're doing it to the best of your abilities, who can be mad at that? A true leader is not mad at that. A true leader couldn't be mad at that. Because they understand that it's always something. You know, and I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it because I got some real juicy stuff coming up. I just want to give you guys some quick motivation. You know, so I had to talk about true leadership. Let's talk a little bit about faith. Let's talk a little bit about faith in life, not necessarily religion so much, but in life. You know, trusting the process, and I talk about this all the time in a lot of episodes, quite often. You know, just trust the process and understand. You know, it's always something. You know. And I think that the problem with the process for a lot of people in trusting the process, so to speak, is that they want it too fast. I think wanting your end result, or even setting the expectation, so to have a goal, right? To say, this is my 5-year plan. In 5 years, I'm going to be at this point, right? To say that is completely understandable, right? Now, to live throughout that 5-year plan, and to execute it the best you can, and don't quite get to your expected goal, I think is something that gets people back into safe mode, so to speak, because you didn't reach your expectation. And I think people confuse with not reaching their expectation more oftentimes than not with failure. You know, and they think that, I'm saying they think they failed. People think they failed because they didn't reach that. Oh, I want to do this, you know. In 6 months, I want to be in better shape. In 6 months, I want to do this, you know. And I want to stop smoking. I want to, you know, work out. I want to, you know, get a better job. I want to, you know, do this. I want to travel here. Whatever those cases may be, you know. I think people set these standards for themselves, and even though the progress that they've made is substantial from where they began, that's the thing, right? Your progress is substantial from where you began, even though it's not quite at the destination you wanted to end up at. That doesn't mean that you failed in the process. You need to trust that process and just go a little bit longer, because you've already showed through your history that you're able to get to this far. Because just because you wanted to get to step 20 and you've only made it to step 15, that doesn't make step 1 through 15 irrelevant. How the fuck were you going to get to 20 if you didn't take step 1 through 15 first? And so I think people need to recognize the smaller but bigger principle of accomplishment as they step foot towards that final end goal, you know, within your plan or whatever have you. And so you just need to trust that process, understand that maybe I'm not where I thought I was supposed to be, because when you make a plan, right, you're kind of hypothesizing about what the outcome's going to be. You don't know. You can't possibly know. You're using information given to you based on simulations of everybody else's experience. So you don't know what the outcome's going to be. You're making a predicted educated guess, you know, because you haven't actually traveled that path. So when you take into consideration everybody else's experience, now you're going to plan your experience accordingly. But you're still a completely different individual than everybody else that's been introduced or inducted into that experience. So just because someone made it to step 20 in 5 years, you know, just for the sake of conversation, let's say step 20 is the end goal. The end, you know, you won. You completed it all exactly how you wanted to. It's because somebody did it in 5 years, and in 5 years you only made it to step 15. That's great. That's great, because think about how many people in 5 years haven't made it to step 1. And not to bring those people down, because we want to help motivate those people. That's where leadership comes from. Right? That's another part of leadership. It's to help bring those people up, knowing that it may be one day greater than you. Because if I build to my step 20 and I take what I've done and use that to motivate people and make them greater, I damn well hope that the next person who does what I've done to motivate them to do what they're doing creates a step 21. And then the person after them creates a step 22. And then the person after them so good they create step 23 through 27. You see what I'm saying? That's true leadership. That's the only way to evolve, to grow together. And people don't get left behind. No man left behind. But it takes true leadership. So I think back to faith and trusting in the process, you have to understand that everybody's process is different. And just because you didn't get the exact result in your process when you expected to get the result, that don't mean the result is not obtainable. It's very obtainable. Because if it wasn't obtainable, you wouldn't have been able to get to step 15. See what I'm saying? It's highly improbable for you to get to step 15 if you can't make it to 20. Because you already gave up on yourself. You would have already gave up on yourself. Because I'm sure there's no way from step 1 to 15 that everything was peachy keen. You see what I'm saying? So understand and trust that process. And realize everything's just all those struggles are not struggles. They're experience points. It's just all about the way, just flip the way you think one time. You know, just one time, take a negative concept and flip it into a positive. Just one time, just give it a flip and see how you move different. See how you act different. See how you feel different. See how you're energized, how your outlook, how things are brighter, because you're taking this dog gloomy thing and flipping it to the positive, right? You're taking this negative and making it a positive picture. And just think about, and when you do that, just watch how things change for you. With any struggle you have, just for 1 second, I just want to sit here for a second, and I want you to think about something that you're struggling with because you have a negative idea that's holding you back, or a negative thought, right? Like, I can't do this because of this, right? Now try to take those concepts and flip it into a positive. Say what you can't do and say you can do it. Now, why you can't do it, use the opposite for why you can. So, I can't get into better shape because the gyms are closed. Even something that simple, right? Let's say COVID happened. I can't get into better shape because the gym's closed. You really can't get into better shape because the gym's closed? I'm just saying, you know. I can't go to the store because my car is broke. You really can't go to the store because your car is broke? There's no other way to get to the store? Really? Orangutan? You know, think about something bigger. Now these are the ones that get me. I'm never going to get that job because I'm not good enough. Really? That's the reason? That's the reason? Or because you're not ready and not giving yourself enough time to develop the skill needed to get to where you want to be, and you've already given up on yourself. And that's my point for saying that. You see that? You're already given up on yourself. And so if you have that train of thought, you're not going to get to step 15. You're not going to get to step 1. Because it took for you to switch your train of thought in order to finally take that first step. When you broke out of that fear and broke out of those excuses, you flipped it into a positive, and you're just like, fuck it, I'm doing it. And then you decided to trust the process. And somewhere along the line, you confused progress and achievement with failure because you didn't replicate your ideal of the timeline that you set for yourself. Meaning you thought you were going to accomplish it in a year, and a year you're not quite there yet. It's so crazy how easily something like a timeline discourages people from being great. You got all the time in the world. Yeah, I don't got all the time in the world. I'm 50, I'm 60. People live to 80, 90, you know. My family has health problems. You still got all the time in the world because it's your world. Once you're gone, then the time is irrelevant in your world. So you have all the time in the world in the perception of self. 10, 20, 30 years is a long time to do a lot of shit. Last thing you want to do is let time be your enemy, because you'll be wasting time dwelling on the time you don't have, when while you were dwelling on the time you don't have, you could have been using the time that you were dwelling on the time you don't have as time to have. Wow. Motivation conversation right there. So trust the process, my friend. Also, understand letting go of control. Basically goes along, I'm not even going to dig into that because it goes along the lines of what I just said. Letting go of that control. Stop trying to control every moment, every situation, every aspect. You can't control it all. There's no way. Just understand and learn from the things you can't control. Serenity prayer, for those of you who are religious. Boom, right there. Get it and understand. And do the best you can and keep going. And lastly, real quick before we get out of here, with faith. Let's talk about faith in action, not just in prayer. Do I need to talk about it? Because it sounds understandable, but we're still going to talk about it. Faith in action, not just in prayer. And I don't mean to get religious. I don't like to be religious on this show. I don't want to get into those things. I might have an episode about it, but it's so touchy, it's tough. I have my own twist on it, the way I do things here at the Motivation Conversation, right? But faith in action, not in prayer. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? I mean, people say have faith, go pray about it, have faith. Here's the thing about prayer, right? Prayer is basically an affirmation. This is a self-driven affirmation, right? Now think about the concept of spiritual or religion and the higher entity that you serve or pray to, or whatever you want to call it. I'm really trying to stay away from these boxes, so I'm trying to choose my words. But so think about this, right? So when you break down in prayer, you do it because you feel you don't have the strength to do it on your own, right? And so when you have that moment of weakness, what happens is that you become episode two, probably not a Motivational Monday, but it's in a deep conversation series with Jonathan Koger. When you say it out loud and start praying, right? You pray and you talk about your trials and tribulations and, help me and please, help my family and please. And I'm saying because there's, I don't want to, leave out anybody's religious beliefs. And so you say it out loud, what happens? That's you becoming sick and tired of being sick and tired of the situation you're in. And when you get sick and tired, you start to live through it again, right? And so and it gives you a recognition of what's happening. Now, what happens? What happens when you gain that recognition? That means you know what you have done wrong. That means you've known the direction that you took was the improper direction, or whatever, however you want to see fit. I went the wrong way. I fucked up. I did the wrong thing. Oops, my bad. I'm just learning the lesson. That's a part of the process. However you want to perceive that, right? You're tired of that process of doing it again. And you become sick and tired of being sick and tired. So what happens? You get down and you pray. Please help me through this. Please help my family through this, right? And these things that you feel like you can't handle on your own, right? So here's this weird thing that happens, right? A lot of people, they'll pray, and then that will be the end of it. which is not going to get you it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not, but believing in something has a lot to do with achieving something. They say believing is achieving. In a sense it is, but in a sense it's not, because if you believe, then you are achieving it because you achieve the understanding. Now what to do with that understanding? You got to put action to that understanding, right? So if I pray, please help me get this job, I've been going through this and this and this, right? Now what happens is that you subconsciously want to do better because you've made it known to self by being sick and tired of being sick and tired that you want to do better, right? So when you go into that interview, you're going to dress nicer, you're going to make sure your shit's more ironed, you're going to be sharper, you're going to be earlier, you're going to be more confident. There's these things you're going to do subconsciously that's going to push you to that because you manifested that thought that you wanted that to be in that position. Now, whether you believe that your has given you the power to transform that, to flip over that switch, to go from, sick and tired of being sick and tired to being able to accomplish that situation and you get that job, or if you want to believe that, I showed faith in action, and because I knew that, I needed to get this job and made me push forward and work harder and be more sincere about the situation, either one is completely up to you. But understand the concept of what I mean by faith in action, because either way you look at it, it still takes the core principle of your action, right? I'll post this thing, hold up. And you have to understand that it says spirituality versus religion. We want to not worry about that, okay? But think about the concept of growing something, right? If you plant a seed, let's say you plant a seed, right? And you do nothing to nurture it, and you just plant the seed. Now, nowadays, aside from all the chemicals that's in dirt and soil and all this type of stuff, right? Aside from that helps your seed grow from the beginning, right? But let's say you don't water it, you're not nurturing it, you're not, you know what I'm saying? Giving it the essentials that it needs to grow, and you're just praying on it. Do you think it's going to grow? And if so, how much? This is the thing, right? Because you can. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to pray on it, and it's going to grow just a little bit. And then you're going to have this faith. You're going to have this newfound faith like, oh my God, I prayed on it and it happened. And then what's going to happen? You're going to want to take care of it, right? Because you prayed on it. You're like, oh, my prayers have come true. Now I'm going to take care of it. Now, do you think that your prayers alone is what help it blossom into this great whatever you're growing? No, it's the nurture that you did when you realized the process necessary by saying the prayer. So it's kind of like this subconscious affirmation that you create. But keep that up. That's what I'm saying. That's what you need to be doing. Understand. And that's what I just want to bring it to the forefront, that that's what happens, so you understand. Because I want you to understand the power that you actually have in yourself. That's you. You're doing that. Oh, I'm weak. Please help me through this. And then you get through it. It's because you got through it. Because you're stronger than you think that you are. Because you have the ability. And now by saying that, you manifested the understanding of that ability. And now you're where you are because you wanted to be there and you knew you could. Because you worked towards it. I mean, yes, there's an occasional, wow, that's crazy blessing. You can't work towards, hitting the lottery. You can't work towards so many other, irrational things that, you could try to put into focus when we have this conversation. That just don't really fit the puzzle, And that's the universe taking care of you. Because you have reached for that power and potential that you have, and we're just energy. So now your energy is bringing a greater energy. As I say in many episodes, the ripple effect of your actions. And as Jim Carrey so eloquently puts it, the most valuable thing in this world is the effect you have on people. This is just a short one, my friends. We have great episodes coming all week. Thanks for hanging out with me. You already know whatever your it is, get it. This is Motivational Monday, episode 4. Faith in true leadership. I'll see you guys later. I love you. Thanks for being here. Once again, I'm Eric Harris. We out.
If you look around you, you will see people's lives and thoughts on autopilot. Now you tell me why someone else is dictating your life and thoughts. Why? Why are your thoughts being manipulated by external variables? What does it take to change those thoughts and therefore change your habits in life?
Let's start with the concept of speed.
1697. Newton's laws of motion.
Newton's first law of motion: an object in motion will remain in motion unless acted upon by an external force.
This law teaches us to exterminate all negative external forces, so we remain in constant motion. This knowledge is taught in high schools, colleges. It's all around you.
You could give me any task, I will demolish it. I don't care if I've ever done it. I don't care if I've ever heard of it. I don't even care if it's never been done.
Life isn't easy like that. You have to hustle. You have to push yourself, pain yourself. See, I can do anything because I've grasped the law of motion.
Will you plummet down or soar up? Your perception decides. Eliminate unnecessary external forces, waste no time, and ascend perpetually so that your speed will never lose its motion.
Now I need you to be patient because I need you to give your gift. Listen to me. I need you to give your gift time to mature. All right? I need you to fully develop.
The law of attraction states that what you seek is seeking you, and that your frequencies and vibrations are energies which have a boomerang effect.
Your attitude determines your direction. The speed acquired will determine if you get there. The attitude acquired will determine how you get there.
I'm talking about letting your character catch up with your talent, okay? Because just because you got talent, I mean, you could ask some of the most talented people in the world. They got there. Their talent took them places that their character couldn't keep them. And they wish they could have started all over again and been patient and not just waited for the fame or the success, but for the maturity. Are you hearing me? For the character to fully develop.
Stop rushing things that aren't meant to be rushed. If you must rush things, then rush becoming patient. Be so patient that you're in a hurry. Enjoy the process of life. Fall in love with the process. Impatience is an ugly trait. Nobody likes impatient people.
A lack of patience affects those around you. It's like a gigantic domino effect, a failure. And the worst part about it is, you won't see the chaos until it's too late.
Let's say you're at a halt in a vehicle at a red light. The light beams green and the vehicle beside you instantly slams on the gas, maxing out the vehicle's speed in seconds.
That same vehicle that was once beside you is now distant, heading towards an intersection. As you near the intersection, you witness a car crash. Their life, over. The other driver's life, over. And your life?
Aware, patient, obedient, and alert.
Alive.
Do society a deed before you make decisions. Pick up a book and read and understand that every success has a seed.
Only because behind that success is a patient individual who did his work and is able to lead.
But I'm not a born leader.
What a poor excuse.
And those things called excuses get you 0% closer to your goal.
The greatest leaders lead from the back. A humility that is so powerful, it makes the impossible possible.
Their light is so dim, it's luminescent. Their footsteps are so quiet, they're thunderous. And their presence is so unknown, it's illustrious.
As a leader, you must make your own decisions. You must fill your days with positive habits and repeatedly complete them, day in and day out. Take your mind and your heart, combine them. Dig out your passion and build greater people of that passion. Don't preach what you can't do. Whatever you do, do not be a hypocrite. Being a leader consists of work. You must lead by example.
You cannot lead until you can serve.
You cannot serve until you can work.
You cannot work until you see potential.
You cannot see your potential without entelechy.
The realization of potential, believing in yourself, believing in your vision from within, stepping forth, unleashing your full potential, and bringing your vision into fruition.
There's some of you, you're trying to get there too fast. Relax. It's gonna come. And you gotta learn to shut the noise. I mean to shut out other people's opinions.
You have a purpose, one which nobody else can do as great as you can.
You gotta hear it. You can't make a difference until you make a decision. So, for real, some of you, man, you keep crying. You complaining about your job. You complaining about where you are financially. You complaining about your relationship. You complaining about your opportunities. You complaining. Shut up! Stop complaining and do me a favor. If you want to make a difference, all you got to do is one thing. This is how you get started. All you got to do is make a decision. That's it. And for those of you who've been making the wrong decision, all you got to do is make the right decision. But if you want to make a difference, make a decision. Are you hearing what I'm telling you?
A wise man once told me, speed propels the vitality of life. Attitude controls it. Momentum maintains it. Patience protects it. Leadership guides it. And entelechy unleashes it.
Right? It's a lifestyle. And it comes number one with the commitment that I'm responsible for the life of another human being, the growth of another human being. The closest thing to leadership is parenting. You have to be an infinite student of parenting. You know, you want to be a parent, you ask your friends, you ask your own parents, you join groups, you read magazines, you watch talks, whatever it is, you're constantly consuming how to deal with this constantly changing challenge of being a parent. And it's ups and downs and successes and failures, you know, and that's what it is. Leadership is the same. Leaders, great leaders are students of leadership. No matter how achieved they may be, they're still learning. And it's a lifestyle. It's the lifestyle of what I need to do to look after people, which includes things like listening, learning how to give and receive feedback, learning how to have effective confrontations, how to discipline when necessary in a way that's constructive, roam the halls, get to know people, learning what it means to ask somebody questions. How do you ask questions? You know, like some people are naturally good at being curious about other human beings, and some people are uncomfortable because they're introverts or whatever, socially awkward, but we can learn, you know? How do you learn to remember people's names? Oh, I'm bad at names. No, you've just decided you're bad at names. We can learn to be good at names so that when we walk down the hall and say, hey, Tom, oh my God, he remembers my name. It's a nice feeling. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. There are many, many things we have to do and constantly work on to be a great leader to create that environment. Everything that we're talking about in the Infinite Game is really, 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 really hard. It is so much easier to build a company based on short-term ambitions than it is an infinite cause. It just is, right? It's also fun, right? Until it's not. Less inspiring, but sometimes fun, right? Hitting a goal feels good, right? It's much easier to just hire and fire people frequently, hire fast, fire fast, as to hiring slowly and firing slowly because we try and take care of our people as best we can. It's hard to build teams. All of that stuff we talked about leadership, like what am I supposed to do to build a trusting team? Well, I wish I could give you a list of 5 things. It's really, really hard to be a parent. It's much easier to be an uncle or an aunt or not have kids, right? It's hard, right? So why do it? You know, it's fun and exciting to try and beat our competitors, you know? But to have to face our own weaknesses every day, oh, that's exhausting. You know, existential flexibility, I'd rather not. I just would rather not. So the reason this takes courage to completely change our mindset, A, about the game that we're actually players in, and how we want to approach these things, and do we want to shift our mindset and our organizations to prepare for the infinite game, to be organized for the infinite game, it takes courage because we're going to be swimming upstream in a world that is very finite driven. You know, the pressures on us are overwhelming from Wall Street or our own egos or from internal incentive structures or our bosses, whatever it is. The pressures are overwhelming for us to play the finite game. And so how do you stand up to massive external pressure? Courage. And courage is something that comes from relationships. You know, it's external. A world-famous trapeze artist would never attempt a brand new death-defying act for the first time without a net. They would never do it. So why do we think that we could do something difficult without external support too? I've had the opportunity to meet real heroes, people who've risked their lives to save the lives of others with the belief that they were going to die, and they didn't. And when asked, why did you do it? They all say something similar, which is they would have done it for me. It's external. And so we have to take the time to foster and take care of people around us, to nurture our relationships, because when we're going to be doing something difficult, when we're going to be swimming upstream, when we're going to be innovating and doing something different, there are days we're going to doubt ourselves. There are days we're going to get knocked in our ass. There are days that storms are going to rise, and we have to have people who say, I got your back. You need to do this. We need you. The world needs this. Keep going.